like to say, you guys can ask me anything that you want. I don't promise to answer anything that you think of, but I like to put that out there because I think it's good just to get, I don't know, no holds barred. Anything you want to know. I remember that episode was written by Ben England, who, nice, he wrote The Tick, which is one of my favorite animated series. It's a series about mediocre superheroes, and it's hilarious. And so I was a fan of The Tick before I was ever Spike, and I was looking forward to this script all year, and it came out in one scene. And I went to Ben, and I was like, it's funny. And he's like, James, I've designed this so you'll steal the shows. Go ahead. And it was the easiest week I've ever had as Spike, because I had one day of shooting. I get to the set, and Steve Tartaglia, who is the stunt Spike, is doing the gag for the scene, in which Angel Puppet kicks Spike across the room. So we're shooting on concrete, because it's a sound stage, and they ratchet Steve up about 18 feet in the air and just drop him. And Steve is crazy, so he's laughing. But they want three. And like by the third one, you're not laughing anymore. And so Steve he took it that day. And then they did, and Mr. Marsters, would you lie down where Steve was lying down? Thank you, sir. Would you like some water? I feel horrible. And Steve is just kind of limping away. And then I just got slapped around by some felt. So easy. At one point though, the puppeteers, you never know how the camera's going to need to be placed and what the angle is. For a couple of shots, they couldn't find a way to keep the puppeteers out of the shot because the sticks are only so long on the hands and stuff. And they kind of broke down. Like, what are we going to do now? And then finally I was like, guys, I'll just hold this stick. I'll beat myself. I'll get this stick. I'm actually beating myself. And that brings up another story. I beat myself up with one other it was this one on Buffy. There was a $250,000 dragon that I was so proud of. We were talking about this wonderful dragon that we were going to use. I forget which. I know that Dawn was in this scene, so it was a little later. And it had 4 puppeteers inside to make it move. And it had rain falling on it. And the thing that they didn't realize was, when you put rain on that much foam, it's like a sponge. It suddenly weighed 5 tons or whatever, and suddenly the dragon is like, and the lead puppeteer is like, open the dragon, and they open it up, and the guys just fall out. They're like, they're about to faint. And the dragon's just deflated, and the film just shuts down, and we don't know what to do. And suddenly, we're screwed. The dragon isn't working, we can't fix this with computers, and finally I was just like, well, why don't you just prop the dragon head up on the rock, and I'll sit down in front of the thing, and I'll just speed myself up.
So you're saying you directed yourself on the puppets?
Yeah, I guess so. Well, anything to get the shots, man. And so I did that, and David was directing, and I was like, how's that? And David was like, not very good, but we might get away with it, okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Everybody, yeah. I make a point to cry at least once a book. No. Yeah, real men cry. It's okay. The books usually have more meat on those bones than they have to have. There's more emotional impact than he probably has to do to sell, but he puts it in there anyway. And that's one of the things I love about the books, is that within all of the magic flying around, and fairies and werewolves and all of the wacky stuff that Jim Butcher puts in those books, he puts more than one scene of real emotional impact in there. And when you're acting all the roles, it gets to you. Especially when Harry's talking about his daughter, or some of the pain that he's caused people in his life and stuff. And so what happens is, like, I'll read one of the lines and I'll start to cry, and then I'll just like to pause. And there's just like a couple minutes go by where I get my voice back. A couple more lines until it's and for, like years ago, the director would be like, are you okay? Are we going? Or should we stop the tape? Or what's going on? They're like, I'm fine, sure. But now they know. They're just like, wait for it, we'll come back. You're wearing a sock, there's 50 sweaty guys walking around. The most awkward thing in life. I don't like doing those scenes. It's just like, you wake up and I'm like, I am having sex for money. What is my job? I was a stage actor. Like, I did Shakespeare. Oh yeah. You get in your trailer and you're literally, your wardrobe is a sock, and they have a name on it. Like, dignity. But I have to say that actually that scene was less uncomfortable than the ones with Sarah, because like back then those scenes were really steamy. Those were much steamier than television was used to. And so we actors were really worried about the ramifications to our career, etc. And they talked Sarah into doing all of this stuff on the one condition that she didn't get naked. So she would do it if she was clothed. So the steamier the scene, the more clothes she had on. It got to the point where she'd come to set, she'd be like, hi James, I have a muffler today, and a jacket. You like my gloves? She loved to mess with me, but it's just like, don't do it, I'm humiliated, Sarah. So, I had Ghost Sarah, Invisible Buffy, and that was okay that day. I hope so. I don't know who's going to play Spike, but I think that the rest of the cast will be happy to. That was the big joke, we'd be filming, we'd be on our chairs 2 o'clock in the morning, someone would inevitably say, when are they going to film a Buffy movie? And I would, from the back, always say, yeah, who's going to play Spike? I'm old. I can't do that. I don't know if there's enough special effects invented yet to make me play Spike. I wish I could. I would love to. But I always thought that one of the cool things about being a vampire is you don't age. Yeah. I guess it would be Cage the elephant. Right before my eyes, I saw the whole world lost control. The whole world lost control before my eyes. Oh wow! And it's just so unapologetically poppy. That would probably be it. It's good. It's a good song though. A lot of the end of Buffy, the end of the relationship with Buffy, into getting my soul and losing my mind and all of that, I really learned something. For stage or for film, you can afford the method, which is really kind of losing yourself in the character. But if you do that for television, you don't ever come out. You are submerged for years. And I was going method, and I was submerging at a time that they were going really dark with the character. And it toasted me and sent me into therapy, which turned out to be a good thing. I'm happier now for it, but it was a really super dark time. And like when I was doing the stuff where Spike is getting revisited by all of his past victims, like, why did you do that to me? So to do that, I was like, every morning and every night, I was thinking of everything that I regretted in my life, and just beating myself up with that, so I could be ready for the moment. And that's like No therapist would say, do that, that's a good idea. You do that for months on purpose, you're going to hurt yourself. There's no way around it. And so it was like, yeah, that was the time. I like being a bad guy. Oh my God, it's so hard to be a good guy. In life and in fiction. Like the real heroes, being a hero is sacrifice, right? It's not doing what's comfortable or easy for you, but it's being willing to go through discomfort or pain for the good of someone else, right? And like parents are the heroes of the world, because I'm a parent now, I know. And when you play a hero, I played a few heroes, and you're always like worried that you're not helping enough people, and you always feel guilty that you let someone down, and you're always having to run a lot because you care. And you're always sweating, getting from A to B, and it's a hard day, right? And when you're a villain, you're just like working. And you wait for the hero to come by wet, is worrying and sweating, running, and he rounds the corner, you jump out of the shadows, bam! You go home. It's awesome. It's just so much easier. And with a villain, they will build you up to be as cool and as powerful as the hero. Because for the final fight, it's got to be an exciting scene. So, well, you lose that fight, but yeah, that's the one thing that's not good. But if you're willing to live with that, then basically you're built up like a hero or an anti-hero. So, yeah, I'll take villains anytime. And also, we all have to work at being nice, all day, and we have to kind of sublimate our darker sides to get along with each other, and that's a lot of work. So it's kind of nice to just be able to let the jerk in me out.
Hi again.
Okay, caveat. I think that Jane Espenson is one of the better writers that I know. She was one of the original writers on Buffy. The thing is that on Buffy, they always had ideas and they were told we can't do that because it's too expensive. So they were always being compressed. No, you've got to write it on the sets we already have built, but it's just a bar set. No, we can't afford to build a bar set this week. You got to have, talk in the living room again? Yes, they have to have a conversation. So there was always this kind of frustration that any television writer has. Because really, they have the sets they have. You have to go around, look at the sets that are built, and construct your story around what is already there. And then, so you take this writer who's been frustrated for years with Buffy ideas, and you tell her, you can have anything. And she comes up with, Captain Kirk, Captain Spike. And when I read it, I was like, wow, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And it was, because I'm sure for her, it's like, why not? Let's see what it works. And looking at that is one of the reasons that I wrote Into the Light. And I specifically kind of wanted to write a comic book under the constraints, the same constraints as if it was being filmed on the set. So I tried to write something that would fall within the budget of a Buffy episode, and get the character back on the streets, back as an underdog, away from special effects, because Spike never really had a lot of special effects. There wasn't a lot of epic stuff. The epic stuff was for Angel. Spike was always kind of more hanging out with the rats and the cardboard and stuff like that. And I tried to get him back to his roots.
Instead of spaceships and bugs.
What's that?
Instead of spaceships and bugs.
Instead of the bugs and spaceships.
So I'm about to ask you a completely serious question. I don't know if you're aware, but there's a baking festival out there right now.
There's a what?
Baking festival.
A bacon?
Bacon.
Yeah. Bacon.
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 Okay, I thought we were serious, but okay.
Bacon.
National Bacon Day.
I am do you like bacon?
Do I like bacon?
Do you like bacon?
I like bacon.
Second question. What is your favorite bacon dish?
Okay.
I don't think you should defile the loveliness of bacon with anything. I think it only distracts from the bacon. Best way to have bacon is second pizza. But what I will say about bacon is, perfect bacon, you should be able to pick it up at one edge and it lays out straight. And I cook it that way.
I completely agree with you. You should try my bacon woven meatloaf. Barbecue.
Okay, if it's combined with more meat, okay.
Maybe I'll let you.
I totally believe you. This is a very serious question.
I love your character in Witches of East End, and it seems that they canceled it, but there's a petition. So if you love it, look for the petition, because I would love to see your character come back as well. Which if you could pick one, or if you had to pick one, would it be warlock or vampire?
I'm really not good with these questions. If you have to pick, like I've lived my whole life
That's your hair.
having my cake and then eating it as well. You know, like when I was in theater, I would act on the big stage in town and then produce my own stuff. And everyone told me that was suicide. And I'm like, no, it's really tiring, but I'm gonna choose. I'm gonna have both. Oh man, now they say like music or acting. I'm like, don't have to choose. Which warlock or a who's writing the warlock and who's writing the
East End warlock and Buffy the Vampire.
and a Joss Whedon.
Yes.
Yeah, I would play a Joss Whedon gerbil. Nothing against the writers on Witches of East End. They were really, really wonderful. But Joss, I'm sorry, he's just on another level. Every day? Yeah, God. Yeah, I mean, my favorite time on Buffy was between the word action and cut. Like we worked hard. I have to underline this. We were known as Buffy the Weekend Slayer. We worked 12 to 20 hours a day. And there were a lot of people in Los Angeles that refused to work on the show because we burned through people. And so to get to that word action, there was a lot of sacrifice. But once action happened, it all is worth it because all the lighting, costumes, special effect, and everyone's bringing it for that little moment, and it just is, and it works, and so good. I remember complaining to Joss once because there's like the blooper reel that happens at the end, and that's a little film that is made by Joss for the cast part. And probably the Green Ranger. Hi, Jason. And I'm never in the blooper reel. And I was like, Joss, don't you like me? And he's like, James, you're never in the blooper reel because you are boring. In between the word action and cut, it's like we released a lion out of a cage. I mean, I'm not saying the work. I'm saying once I say cut, you do the same thing for 7 years, exactly the same thing. You make sure that you're on your mark, then you go back to your your chair, you look at your lines, and that's it. That's all you do. That's my job. So for me, that wonderful, magical word of action when the director has to
was Jim Butcher just released the options to do another TV show, The Dresden Files. Do you think you'd want to play Thomas Wright?
Yeah.
Okay.
What? Yeah, that'd be great. Three. Off of Murphy's Law. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, by the album. That's like a super personal song, and I don't feel comfortable singing. It's a super serious song. And go ahead. One of the defining characteristics of Spike, interestingly enough, is apathy. Right? Okay. And to the point where, like, so he'll say something that's hilariously funny, but it's always like, well, if y'all look at it, like that. But you really can't be aware of the humor, so you've really got to be embracing the, whatever. I remember one day, Xander is like bleeding out. He's dying in the living room of Buffy's house, and all the other Scoobies are crowding over him and weeping, and bedlam over there, and I'm over in the corners. And the director, who's a first-time director on the show, he comes over to me, he's like, James, Xander's bleeding out, you have to care, come on. And I'm like, nope, okay. It's Buffy, yeah. Well, Buffy's sister by proximity, yes. But the rest of them I don't care, so they're lucky I don't kill them myself. It was so fun. I didn't like in the beginning, I was always like so concerned about being ferocious. And I was drinking like 14 cups of coffee a day to get the Spike energy. and then one day, because like we were a show that filmed long hours, 20 hours a day, and you get so tired. I just showed up one day and I just told myself, look, the only thing I'm going to be able to accomplish today is if I can hit my marks and get the lines out correctly, and I can't do more than that. I'm done. I'm close. And I did that. And then I saw the episode. It was the best acting. It was the most interesting Spike I'd ever seen. I was like, stop caring. It's so much easier. Stop talking. Okay. And I really embraced that. And I think it works better that way.
I have a second question.
This is so embarrassing. Okay. Juliet Landau and I were really good friends. We both from stage, and so we clicked. In this world of Hollywood, without a lot of stage actors, we too were stage actors. And stage actors have a whole different way of thinking about things. And so we got to be really good friends. And so Juliet invited my girlfriend and I over to her house to watch one of the episodes earlier. And so we're sitting there, and it's Juliet and me and my girlfriend sitting and watching the show. And one of our scenes comes on, and Juliet leans over and says, do you remember that moment? Oh, I think they used the wrong take, or whatever she said. Well, my girlfriend saw Juliet lean over and whisper in my ear, and I kind of laughed. And she thought we were flirting, and she got furious and decided, as payment, she would tell me that she had a crush on David Boreanaz. So I therefore hated him the whole time. I am a jealous lover. And so it took me years. So yeah, if you see on the show that I seem to hate him, it is real. Until that girlfriend dumped me, and then I was okay with it. I hated him. And the thing is that David, what? Really? We have 5 minutes, right? That's 5 minutes? Okay. And so it took me a long time to figure out that David had been nice to me from day one. Because he started out as a character that wasn't supposed to be there all the time. He started out with a little tiny trailer across from the important people. And he came up to me on day one and said, dude, you are flying in this role. I bet by next year you've got the big trailer. I bet they're going to give you water like they give the rest of us water. And he was my best friend from the day one, and I couldn't see it because I was a jealous little snot. Wow. Kicking David's butt. He finally. I'm sorry, there's just a lot of years of wanting to do that. But it's so hard. There was the church scene. I don't remember the name of the episode. Buffy and I were in the church and I laid myself on a cross. That was a really good one. We filmed an original version of that, and I was trying to be so emotional and important. And Josh comes to me, he didn't direct that episode, he comes to me and goes, okay, well, the bad news is the church scene that's so important to the episode, the whole thing hangs on, sucks. Good news is I'm rewriting it, I'm going to direct it, I'm going to reshoot it, I'm going to save your ass, James. Apparently I was really bad. And he came in and saved my career with that scene, but he also directed me in such a way that I was able to keep simple but effective.
And my other real last question was...
It's great. Oh my God. Yeah. Charisma is a wonderful human being. I thought she was like her character on Buffy. I thought she was this cheerleader type. That's because she's such a good actor. I just watched her performance and was like, I'm not going to go talk to her. And plus, her character was always running away from me. So her chair was always parked on the other end of whatever set we were on in the same scene. So I never really saw her out. And then to my chagrin and shame, I realized that I had misjudged her, and we sat down and talked when we were doing Supernatural. She's just fabulous. Really, really cool.
Thank you.
Wow. Four-way wolf. Thank you. Concise. They are spectacularly humble and grateful and light and like usually, I've done a lot of TV shows, and I've noticed that if you film early in the run of a TV show, everyone's happy and best friends, and it's like summer camp. And then if you come in year 5, 6, or 7, everyone's sick of each other, and they're just getting through it, and it's really kind of depressing. I know. You go on that show, and you think you're filming the pilot, and you're in year 6, and everyone's happy to be together, and it's to a large extent because of Jared and Jensen, because they are completely unaffected by their fame. Fame, which is toxic to the human soul. And if you're exposed to it for too long, or if you take it into yourself and try to define yourself with that, you will start to lose the best part of yourself. And they, for some reason, instinctually know this, or are not capable of ego, or whatever it is, but they are absolutely normal, wonderful, grateful human beings. And I just had a great time.
Yay.
I don't know, that was weird. Said the beautiful girl. No, it's such a cross, but I'll bear it. No one's ever asked me. I don't think I was pretty till I met Joss. I don't know. By the way, on Buffy, I wore more beauty makeup than any of the girls put together. And that's why I was so gorgeous. Like they spent more time on me than Sarah. So. All of them. I feel fabulous. The only place you can get it right now. It's not on iTunes yet, so if you want to hear it a little bit early, go buy and buy it. It's $20.